there are so many careers in the world that we can ultimately create what we want to create. But at the core of it is knowing your purpose, and then does that role really fulfill that? And if it doesn't, then you've got to start questioning, what is the right role for you?
If you would like to cultivate more worth, freedom and expression in your life, you're watching the right video.
And I think for a lot of that, it's a really difficult position to be in, because you don't know how to challenge that. You don't know what you want. You don't know what your values are. You don't know what your purpose is. And when you know all of those things, when you can piece together the puzzle, when you can grow your own self-awareness, that's when you can really take the step to find that freedom.
Hi, I'm Faye. I'm the What If Coach. I'm a certified life coach and human design reader, and I work with my clients to help them navigate feelings of unworthiness, to shed the weight of the expectations of others, and really to step into speaking their truth. In this 10 Minutes With interview series, I interview wellness experts for a precious 10 minutes for them to share their tips and tricks and their stories of how they have cultivated more worth, freedom, and expression in their lives. Welcome and thank you everyone for joining us for the 10 Minutes With interview series. We are focused on knowing your worth, feeling your freedom and finding your expression. Today I have an amazing guest and good friend. I will leave her to introduce herself, but I am so excited to be joined by you today. Fiona, over to you. I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell us what you'll be talking about today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for inviting me on. It's a pleasure to be here. So as you mentioned, my name is Fiona Moss, and I help millennial women who are unfulfilled in their work to really escape that unfulfilling job in order to find a career that is purpose-led and leads them into a fulfilling reality in which they, truly thrive and excel. Because I know I've been there. I've been that person who's been in a job that is hugely unfulfilling, and there are many reasons why I got trapped in it. There are many similar reasons, but other reasons why I see my clients and I see so many people just feel like they have to stay and stop in that career, which is not fulfilling them, but more importantly, it's having a wider impact on their life. So that could be impacting their relationships, their health, just their general fulfillment in life and their passion for life. Quite often I hear that people just feel lost. They don't even know who they are anymore. And I really can empathize with that, because I was very much that person. So I'm going to be speaking about, this journey that I've been on, and also this journey that I see for so many people and so many of my clients that they go on, and to actually give you some inspiration and some hope that it doesn't have to be like that. Like, things can change. You don't just have to be stuck in that job. And also, you can find a job that really does fulfill you, and you can create the reality that you do want, because quite often people think that's for them, that's not for me. I wasn't built like that. That they've obviously just had some sort of help. They're more special than I am, and that's not true. Everybody is special. We all have our own journeys, and we can create our own destiny. We can be the author of our story, and we do have the choice. We really do have choice. So obviously there's 3 pillars that I know that are really close to, the conversation that we're having today, and for you particularly, in the sense of the first one about knowing your worth. I think this is a huge part of this journey, because, so often, and as I've just mentioned, so often we get caught up in this idea that we aren't good enough. We can't take that step. We're not clever enough. We're not smart enough. We're too old. We're too young. With all of these limiting beliefs about which belittle us. We don't really look on a sense of how great we really are. What are the skills we already have? What's the resilience that we've already shown, the courage that we've already shown in our lifetime? Because when you actually take these moments to reflect and look back, so often we start recognizing where we actually have shown up and really stood up and been resilient and been courageous and already gone through really hard stuff. And it is in those moments that you actually start recognizing your own worth. And it is by knowing your own worth that you find the courage and you find the momentum to actually take these sort of steps, and they're big steps, of course they are, to really sort of step into a new career path in something potentially you have no idea about. You have to relearn, you have to go into a whole new direction. And maybe you are a little bit older, and maybe you're going to be having to push back milestones that all your friends and your family are already hitting. And that makes you question like yourself. That really does make you question your own sort of trajectory in life. You know, how why is everyone achieving something? You know, they're all hitting the milestones and I'm not hitting the milestones. And that's a really difficult part of this journey, particularly because a lot of I focus on supporting millennial women. So, you know, a lot of these women, they are in that position. And whether it's about buying a house, they have to push that back. Whether it's about getting married or having children, they have to push these things back in order to pursue this more fulfilling path. There's a lot of doubts and fears that come in around that. And that makes you question yourself, and you question your own self-belief, you question your own self-worth. But by recognizing that this is going to enable you to really step into more of who you are, like actually we need to recognize that this is the right thing for you, and everybody is on different paths. Everybody, you know, the trajectory, the path that we take, the speed that we take, it's all very, very different. What you've got to do is know what's right for you, and actually knowing your self-worth and looking at your self-worth, looking at, you know, as I said before, what you've already done and what you are capable of. I think you're leaning in more to your self-worth then by actually saying, no, I'm going to forget all those external expectations, which is kind of, you know, probably part 2 about this, about finding your freedom. You know, I'm going to step away from all those external expectations, and actually I know my own self-worth, so I'm going to challenge that in order to really step into that. So, and I think a huge part of this is about finding freedom. It really, really is, because we get locked into these systems, and I talk a lot about challenging convention and challenging social expectations and rebelling against them, but not because of, I think the term rebel can sometimes be quite misunderstood, because it's normally seen with through a lens of like a rebel without a cause, somebody who just causes problems and chaos for no reason. But I talk about a rebel with a cause, and a rebel with a cause is somebody who knows their worth, who knows what they want, who really understands their purpose. And actually by doing that, you challenge convention, or you challenge expectations in a good way, because you recognize that they don't serve you. And if they don't serve you, then they're not going to really be able to really truly fulfill your own life and fulfill what you are capable of, fulfill your potential. So I was very much in that position where I'd done all the things that was expected of you. I was, you know, went through schools, you know, like just extremely diligent, you know, did all the ladder climbing, same in my career. But I felt unfulfilled. I felt like it clashed with my values, but if I'm being honest, I didn't really truly understand what my values were at that point. And I think a lot of people are in that same position. They know something is off, they know something's not right, they don't know what, and because they don't truly know their values. And I think for a lot of that, you know, it's a really difficult position to be in, because you don't know how to challenge that. You don't know what you want, you don't know what your values are, you don't know what your purpose is. And when you know all of those things, when you can piece together the puzzle, when you can grow your own self-awareness, that's when you can really take the step to find that freedom. And without that freedom and that flexibility, you're just a cog in a machine. You know, a lot of different people talk about this, you know, about being cogs and just conforming to an ideal or what other people expect you to do. But if it doesn't serve you, and if it doesn't allow you to really, you know, either whether it's affecting your health, whether it's affecting you as an individual, you know, your relationship, all of the things that I spoke about before, if it doesn't enable you to thrive in all different aspects of your life, you've got to start thinking, where do I need to challenge that, and challenge it in a way that is actually going to enable you to really achieve your potential in all those different facets. Because you can achieve your potential in all of those things when you're willing to know your worth and find that freedom. And then the third one about speaking with purpose links all back to all of that, you know, about knowing what it is, why you're taking that step. You know, when I talked about the rebel with a cause, it is about having that expression to say, to stand up and actually be the voice above everything, you know, whether that is above expectations, whether that's family or friends or society in general. But to just stand up and go, no, I don't think this, I don't believe in that. And that's when you know your purpose, you can really stand up and express yourself fully as the person that you truly are. You know, there are many different, like even through my journey, when I left my old corporate role and I went into this role, like coaching is quite a new, not new, but it's not a well-known industry, particularly for people who are just caught up in the corporate world and very traditional. I'm talking about essentially like my parents and my family. You know, when you challenge those, you've really got to know your purpose in order to express yourself, to find that freedom. So whilst there was a lot of doubt and a lot of questions about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and all, I actually really, because I knew my purpose and I was able to express it, I was able to find that freedom. And I think that the root of all of my coaching and the root of a lot of these different changes, I truly believe is about knowing your purpose. And it's one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the most important things to do, because when you know that purpose, you have a foundation in order to launch off it, to, as you say, find that freedom, create that expression, rebel against the things that are actually holding you back and challenge them. And when you know that you have, when you know your purpose, when you truly know your purpose, it enables you to be more resilient. It enables you to be more courageous and actually keep making the steps forward, even when things are really, really hard, because you can always connect it back to that purpose. So I would probably say my biggest takeaway today for everyone is really focusing on that, because quite often we focus on, particularly if we're talking about like a career change, we focus on, you know, we just look through loads of websites like what's available,
the promotion, the job, there's something like, yeah.
Exactly, and we just try and grab and grab and grab, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, is that people just try and reach out for a better option than what they have now, rather than thinking about, okay, no, actually, what do I want? You know, what are all the things that I really want in my life? And therefore, how can I create a career around that? Because actually, there are so many careers in the world that we can ultimately create what we want to create. But at the core of it is knowing your purpose. And then does that role really fulfill that? And if it doesn't, then you've got to start questioning, you know, what is the right role for you?
I love this. And I have just sat nodding silently and like smiling like a dog in the background, because there's just nothing, like it's pure gold. And I'm wondering for those watching who, and I know particularly in our industry of coaching, you know, purpose is a really big thing. What would be your kind of, your tip or something around, if you really, you know, you're watching this, you have no idea what your purpose is and it feels really big and quite scary, what would be like one step or one way to even begin uncovering what that purpose might be?
I think one of the biggest questions, and like, as I said before, it's a huge, you know, piece to kind of uncover. And what I would say is you can't create a purpose, you discover it. So it really is a process of discovery, and that's where these questions are really, really key. I would, you know, ultimately, if you ask yourself, what would you like to be remembered for? You know, if you really, and I know that can sound quite morbid in times, but if you fast forward this time, because quite often we get so caught up in the day and it's like, oh, well, I'll do that tomorrow, But there's only so many tomorrows. So what is it that you really want to create with your time? And if you are looking ahead, what do you really want to be remembered for? Like, really? So asking some key questions like that, you know, what is it that would get you out of bed, even on the toughest of days? You know, what gives you purpose? And I actually have a career change handbook, which is available in the link in my bio, or on my Instagram, or on my website, which is a career change handbook, which in that I have a purpose toolkit, which asks you a lot of key questions to go through, and you can journal and write down and go through these questions to really understand, you know, start getting to grips about what gives you purpose, what is your purpose. And from those questions, you can then develop, you know, in terms of like creating a purpose statement, so that you can really lean into that every single time you make a decision, every single time you are in a difficult position as well. So if you want to access that, as I say, it's either on my website or in the link in my bio on my Instagram.
Amazing. Fiona, thank you so much for your wisdom. I could stay here for days. Just let your wisdom wash over me. I will share all of your information below this video so people can get in touch. I know that you're always on Instagram, and I know you have a website. I'll make sure all of that is shared here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, lovely.
For your wisdom today, and yeah, just very grateful to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this interview. I hope that it's been insightful. Please hit like, hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these in the future. And if you want more tips and tricks and stories about cultivating more worth, freedom and expression, come and join me over on Insta at the What If Coach Faye.